The Corsican Brothers, from the novel by Alexandre Dumas. Louis de Franchi is broken in mind and body. Emilie Latouche's treachery and the physical suffering he endured at the hands of the Gadici have reduced him to a state where his life is slowly ebbing away. The Corsican physician declares that the only factor that will save him will be the presence of the girl for whom he calls all the time, Emilie Latouche. Lucien and Pierre Godet travel to Paris in search of Emilie, who has eloped with Captain Chateau Renaud. Pierre, to his surprise, discovers that Emilie has returned to Paris. He goes to see her and asks her if she will go to Louis.
It's a great favor I ask, madame. But if you saw poor Louis now...
I'm afraid I'm not interested in Louis now or at any other time.
Oh, I know that you've married Captain Chateau Renaud. I know all this. But I thought that perhaps out of pity for someone whom you must have once loved.
I never loved Louis, never.
You must have liked him. You were betrothed.
Liked him? Perhaps I did. He was naive, unusual, earnest, but oh, so polite and soulful. I'm sorry, Monsieur Godet. It's out of the question.
Haven't you any pity? I tell you, the boy's dying.
What's that to me? It's not my fault, surely.
You broke his heart.
He should have strength of mind to get over it. It was always his trouble. A milk and water mind. No fire, no strength about him at all. Where did you say he was?
In Corsica.
In Corsica? You're not suggesting, Monsieur Godet, that I should travel all the way to Corsica just to hold his hand?
It's not very much to ask when a life is at stake.
Not very much to ask. From what I've heard, the Corsicans are barbarians, nature's peasants. I want none of them, thank you very much. And Monsieur Godet, if you don't mind, my cousin and I are rather busy. You came in unannounced.
Your maid announced me.
Yes, but you walked in directly after her. And I might remind you that this is a lady's boudoir.
I'm sorry if I've intruded, madame. But I thought if you had one spark of pity...
Pity doesn't enter into it. I'm a married woman, Monsieur Godet. I have my duty to my husband. And I'm sure he would never countenance such behavior.
Strange that you should think of behavior.
Monsieur Godet, what are you insinuating?
Well, after all, you've been a little, shall we say, unusual, eloping as you did.
That is my own private and personal affair. And I'll thank you to mind your own business, Monsieur Godet. You'll find a footman in the hall. He'll show you to the door.
I see. Louis always thought you were beautiful, madame. Beauty never has hard lines, and your face at this moment is like granite. Goodbye, madame.
Oh, Neely, how could you? I can't be fussed, Annette. Drooling around after Louis. Besides, Monsieur Godet has exaggerated. A man couldn't possibly die, all because he was in love. Ridiculous. Oh, look, darling, I'll throw this ermine round my shoulders again. I'll walk before you. I want you to see how it trails at the back, just like a train. You've never known what it is to love. Love? Haven't I? I love lots of things. Jewelry and coaches with coats of arms and silver and gold, and my husband and his estates and pearls. But best of all, I think I like this. I think it's the most beautiful ermine coat I've ever seen. And when I go to the opera tonight, oh, la la. Did you go to the opera in England? I went to Drury Lane. If you'd seen the women there staring at me. Paul said I looked like a stud horse, parading with my coat on and blinkers. Blinkers? Meaning my pearls, darling. But if you've seen those other women in their boxes, staring at me with twitching nostrils, just like old horses, painted, perfumed, bejeweled, decorated beyond recognition, but positively green with envy. Oh, how I love Paris.
Pierre. Good evening, Lucien.
Well?
She wouldn't hear of it.
You mean?
I mean, Lucien, that I've been talking with a witch. A heartless, unspeakable, empty little monster who could think of nothing but clothes and jewelry and her own personal self. Even if your brother dies, he will have had a lucky escape. She's the most ruthless young woman I've ever met in my life.
Then that means that...
I've been thinking things over as I came back in the carriage. Don't be downcast, Lucien. There's still one hope. A small hope, but it's there. There's a very brilliant physician here in Paris, Dr. Cavossier. If I could persuade him to come to Corsica, even on a holiday, something might be done. The king thinks the world of him. He has all France at his feet. That's why it may be difficult to get him away. But it is a hope, our last hope.
And this woman, this Amélie Latouche?
Incredible. Oh, it makes me sick in the stomach when I think of her, standing there in the middle of her boudoir with her finery all around.
Finery?
Yes, English hats and dresses which she bought, lying in confusion all over the place. She'd obviously been trying them on. And a magnificent ermine cloak. It was almost as though she said, "What's a life when I have these?"
The little witch. I'd like to throttle her with these two hands. I will.
Lucian.
I will. To smash my brother's life the way she has. I'll kill her.
Lucian, sit down. Might I remind you that this is Paris? You're not in Corsica now. This is your brother's world, a society of refined ladies and gentlemen.
Refined? Ha! A refined form of torture, you mean? A refined way to slowly murder somebody? To put them in their grave with the most fiendish pain?
But what do you know of it, my boy? You haven't been in love.
Haven't I? Oh, Pierre, I haven't told you everything. A little, perhaps, but not everything. I know what it is. But the trouble is, I don't know the full story. Louis hasn't been well enough to tell me. When he does, then I shall know what to do.
Lucien's thoughts flew across the seas to the south of Corsica, to Marianne. What had happened when Louis had been taken prisoner, when Louis had been flogged? Lucien could tell nobody of the dull ache in his own heart, the ache, the loneliness, the yearning for the dark-eyed girl of his dreams, the girl who told Louis she would shoot him on sight. That night, Lucien spent a sleepless night, anger and indignation crowding his mind, filling his heart with rancor against the girl who had refused his brother in such a way. The next morning, Pierre Godet went off early to see the great Dr. Cavossier, and it was not until late afternoon that he returned. Lucien had been sitting most of the day in an armchair, gazing into an empty fireplace. Even Paris, with its strange sights, its crowded thoroughfares, its unexpected highways and byways, held no fascination for him. His own mind was too confused, worrying over his own troubles and those of his brothers. Even when the door had opened and Pierre had burst into the room, he found it hard to rid himself of his mood.
Oh, Lucien, you're here waiting. I expected you might be. I've got wonderful news.
Have you?
Yes. After waiting for 3 hours, Dr. Cavossier saw me and Lucien, what's the matter?
Oh, nothing. Perhaps I'm worrying over my brother. Go on with your news, Pierre. He's coming to Corsica?
Unfortunately, no. But he has a protege, a young doctor, very brilliant, who plans to go off on a holiday next week. He gave me a letter of introduction. I went to see this doctor and... Lucien, this young doctor is coming to Corsica.
He will be able to cure my brother?
Cavossier says he's the most brilliant young man yet seen in medical circles. And that coming from Cavossier...
Then we take this doctor back with us?
Yes. Oh, I've made many promises. You'll have to help me. I've told this doctor that the hunting is splendid, that he'll be able to shoot as many partridges as he likes, and that the wild boar will offer great thrills.
Thank you, Pierre. It was a lucky day, the day I met you at that inn in Ajaccio. You have been a good friend to us ever since.
And so arrangements were made to take this young doctor back to Corsica with them. On the morning of departure, Pierre Godet had several routine affairs to attend to in his apartment, but he wondered at Lucien's quiet demeanor. Several times had he spoken to him, but received no answer. Finally, he mentioned the subject.
Lucien, there's something the matter with you this morning.
Is there?
Yes. These last few days, ever since the day when I told you that we were taking young Dr. Coure back to Corsica, you've been quiet, ever so quiet. You've shown no interest in Paris. All you've done is to moon around here in this apartment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pierre, if I'm not good company.
Oh, I know you're worried, my boy, but you should feel happier in mine now. I really feel that this doctor will be able to do something for your brother. What have you been brooding about?
I've been thinking how selfish some women can be. How incredibly bad. They don't make them like that in Corsica. This Amélie Latouche. She should suffer.
She will in time. No thoroughly wicked woman can escape the consequences of her own actions. Sooner or later, like the pendulum of a clock, these actions swing back and strike.
Swing back and strike. You're right, Pierre. I haven't seen much of Paris. Perhaps this morning I'll go for a walk around the city parks and boulevards.
Well, don't forget that we leave at 8 this evening. If only I had the time, I'd come with you, but today of all days...
I'd rather be alone. Much rather.
Oh, be careful, Annette. This dress is so tight. I can hardly button it up the back. But you're pinching my flesh. Wait till I breathe out. Now, quickly. There. Oh, what a waist. Oh, how I envy your waist. Starve yourself for a week and you'd be the same. Oh, that reminds me. I left my fan in Mamma's room when I came home last night. She insisted that I go in and talk with her. We wakened her as we came up the stairs. Get it for me, Annette. Yes, Emily. Oh, I wish I was coming with you. I can't be invited to everything. Everything? But I'm not invited to anything these days. Except when you tag me along. I'll get your fan. My waist. It's a pretty waist if the mirror doesn't lie. And I'm sure mine doesn't. I'm sure. In the mirror. A face. A face at the window. You.
Good evening. You are Amélie?
What are you doing here? Don't you dare climb through the window. Don't you dare come into my room. Why have you come here?
I've come to kill you. To break your slender neck with these two hands.
Louis, you're crazy. I was told you were ill.
Louis! That's funny. Very funny.
Slowly, Lucien de Franchi advanced into the room. There was terror in Amelia's eyes as she stood trembling before the long French mirror. Make sure you hear the next enthralling episode of The Corsican Brothers.